Yeah, okay, so then make sure you start sharing your screen, all right?
Okay.
Right, and everybody, before it starts, thank you for joining us today. Got a great audience. Looks like there's at least 12 people on there. So this is what we do normally in person, but since we're social distancing, we'll do it online like this. Each day will have 5 minutes to present, and they'll give some information about the project they chose. And thanks for having you kids join us. So, Layla, take it away.
Okay. Hi, my name is Laylee Biegelman, and I chose the RPG Maze project. I chose this project because it looked fun and for me, the biggest challenge when coding this game personally was figuring out, like, my biggest challenge was actually ending the game when someone would win or die in the game. So this was definitely a process for me to code, but I couldn't do it without Pablo, so thank you for that. But during this game, I used 140 lines of code, and I learned a bunch in this camp. For example, I learned about functions, about strings, how to print. I learned pretty much everything I could about Python and this game. So in this game, you start out in the cavern, and you need to type in what direction you would like to go, north, south, east, west, or west. And basically, you need to type exactly what the directions say, or else it'll say you're wrong and you can't go that way. And there are also, like, in this game, there are items like a sword and power-ups that you can earn until you get to your final destination, which is Mount Olympus. And there's also a monster in one of the rooms. Well, it's not really, it's the river, but anywho, there's a monster, and if you run into it, the game will end and you will not be able to move on. But you'll have to start over. Do I share it to everyone?
Yeah, Laylee, so make sure you click on the run. That way everyone can see how the game actually works, okay?
Okay. And I also created a representation of the maze by using graphics. So RPG game, the objective is to get to Mount Olympus with the sword and power-ups, and it also is to avoid the monsters, especially Medusa. The commands are go in the direction north, south, east, west, or you type get and then the item. So right now you are starting in the cavern and your inventory is empty. So for example, I will type in go east, but I'm not able to go that way since there is no passage. So if I type go west, I'm able to go that way and I see a sword. So since there's an object or item, I type get sword, and I have now conquered the sword, as I could say. And you basically just do the same for all of these. Or you just type whether to go in the direction or grab the item until you are able to get to your final destination with the power-up and the sword. But I'm going to show you what happens when you run into the monster or to the river. So for example, here, your game will end, but it will also show you the graphic of the game, just need a representation of what it looks like. So now I can show you what it looks like when you win the game. Sorry. So go west is the direction, and then I see a sword, I'll grab it. Go south, I can't go that way. North, now I see the power up. So if you ever do play this game, I highly suggest to always type exactly what you see. Otherwise it will not work and you'll have to keep on repeating the game and starting over. So now I have won the game.
That's really, really cool. So the top part is a map, right?
Yes, of what the game looks like and where your final destination is. And so here in the tunnel, you have a sword, which you need to get. And then here in the cliff, you have a power-up you need to get. but I highly suggest trying not to get to the river, because if you go there, there will be a monster, and once you get there, your game will end and you'll have to start over.
So what do you think was the biggest challenge in developing this?
My biggest challenge personally when developing this game was doing like each specific room, going each direction, and definitely ending the game when someone would die because of the monster or they would win. So yeah.
Cool. So overall,
Overall, it was a really fun experience, and I'm thankful that I got to do it. I was able to learn how to code, could actually write it. I've had some experience, but not actually writing code. And it was just really fun overall, and it was a really good experience.
cool. Well, we're really glad to hear that. So a little virtual round of applause for Laylee for presenting.
Thank you.
So then, Lorelai, are you ready to present? Oh, watch the microphone. I think you're muted.
So, my name is Lorelai Conti, and I chose the space station project because I've never connected any of my code to like the internet or websites, and it seemed fun or cool. So, my biggest challenge was probably the sorry, give me just a second. My biggest challenge was probably I made it so that, okay, I'm just gonna show you it right now. So if you click run, it takes a second to load. But here is the ISS, or International Space Station, over here by Europe, and that's where it is right now. And if you go down here, you can type in latitude and longitude and find out where you will be. I wanted to put in my code a converter to convert cities into latitude and longitude, but Trinket does not let you do that, so I have it over here. Let me just refresh that. So you can type in whether or not you want to look up a place or type in coordinates, so it goes both ways. Let's say you want to see place, and just do Las Vegas because that's easy. So then it gives you the coordinates, and then I can type, oh, okay. I can type those in over here. And then up here on the map, it tells you the day of the week, the date, and the time, and the year that the International Space Station will be passing over your location. So, and just to show you, this can also go, if I just say I want to do another, I can also type in coordinates, and I can enter in these, and it tells me exactly where those are, down to the street name. So yeah, and then if I say no, it tells me bye. And if we go back to the space station, you can enter in multiple, like if you wanted to do let's see where this takes. Oh, well, that was fun. Sorry. Oh, it also tells you how many people are in space, and it tells you their name. So right now, Chris Cassidy and it's totally, yeah, and Ivan Vanger are in space right now. And let's see, I can type these coordinates. The coordinates right here are the coordinates that the International Space Station is. So I can type in coordinates, and then I can type in 45.33 and 40.25. And right now the International Space Station is in Russia. And I can keep doing that. It just keeps going until I tell it to stop. Same with this one.
Cool. So thank you very much, Lorelai. That's a really, really cool, complex program with tons of different features and the graphics parts of it. So obviously that is really complex. So that's awesome. So here's a virtual round of applause. A great job on that. Nicholas, are you ready to present?
Yes, I am.
Cool. So make sure you can start sharing your screen, all right?
Okay, here. I pull it up. So, yeah, here, get it ready. So this is my program that I made on Python. It can generate random colors, random passwords, and I mean, like if you want to, it can also generate random shapes on the side. So I'm gonna demonstrate that right now. On the top, it generates a random color and it gives you the red, green, and blue ratio of that color, so you can find it in a color wheel. And then you can type in if you want a password, you can type in if you want like 5 passwords and then you want them to be 7 characters long, you get 5 passwords that are each 7 characters long and a random number on the side. The thing, like, I did other stuff on the side that Pablo taught us, like graphics and modern art that he taught us. Graphics inspired me to make the random color generator because that's when I learned that you can generate random things with Radiant and other pieces of code. And also, modern art was cool because I got to experiment with other types of code and like new things like random place, like to generate anything at a random place, or like def, which generates which makes something new in your code, like makes it real. I don't really know how to explain it. And then that's all. I don't, and wait, but before I do anything though, before I stop, my code, I actually like divided it so you can see where I did everything. So the extra color I did right here to the bottom until 49 lines of code, and then I did a random color till 65 lines of code, and then so on and so forth. That's all. Pablo, are you muted?
You're muted. You're muted.
So good job, Nicholas. I have a couple of questions for you for this one. Okay, so you talked about randomizing integers and shapes and colors, right?
Mhm.
So what did you think was the hardest part about randomizing? Because obviously you can't just type it in, right? It has to be random every time for the computer. So how did you even get the computer to do that? What do you think was the easy part and hard part? And maybe if you can show us in the code a little bit. So like, where's the random part happening?
So the random part where I made all of the colors are right here. So I did RGB, so that means like it'll combine all the colors together to give you a random color, and it'll make every square that. And that was the easiest part because all I had to do was type this in, to just type this line of code in, and that's pretty much all. And then the hardest part, I think, of doing this project was probably, I think it was the this part, because I had to use, when I generate the passwords, I had to actually do both. I'm gonna say this part of the code, because I had to make the enter password amount and enter password length here, and I had to make them go right after each other so you can actually type it in and do what you want it to do. So I think that's the hardest part, was me typing in that code, because it was a little harder than all like just typing in what you want it to do and how many letters you want it. That's making like a password to it is a little harder than actually doing all the rest.
And then one last thing real quick, were you able to test the password to see if they were really strong or really weak?
Yeah. There's a new password every time you do this. There's like here. So there's the whole alphabet. There's all of the numbers on a keyboard and the whole alphabet capitalized, so you get the most like secure
Possibilities?
password.
Very cool. And then you can decide how many passwords you want and then how long each password is, right? Cool. So then, great job. Great job, Nicholas. So here's a virtual round of applause for you too. Awesome job. So Chloe, are you ready to start presenting?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, so then make sure you start sharing your screen and then you can begin whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Chloe, and the project I chose is Moon Hack. I liked it because it's like the project is asking like, what would you bring in space, and what would you do, like, and you're like supposed to complete a mission and go to the moon. And the biggest challenge for this project was probably coming up with all the stuff, like what would you bring for space? So I guess I'm gonna run it. So it says, it is the year 2049. You are on a solo mission to restock the base on the moon with soil and seeds to grow more plants. You have just landed, but you are in trouble. You have landed 300 kilometers from the moon base. You can get the base in 3 days on your lunar rover. The lunar rover can only fit in your spacesuit and 4 other items. Out of the items below, which would you bring? So we're gonna and it says, type the letter of 4 items you would like to bring and bring separated by commas. Do not add spaces. Example, A, B, C, D. Enter a choice. So let's say E, S, G, and N. Then here are all the stuff that you can bring. And at the top, it'll say, enter your choice, ESGN, ESGN. Without a liter of water a day, you'll dehydrate. Without solar panels, your lunar rover will not have enough power to make it to the base. You will not make it to the moon base without food. You'll need energy to drive the rover. So that was the project, and I also have another one that I did. And so the other one that I did is Popular Pets, which was my main project. And yeah, I chose this project because I like graphing stuff and like finding information. I liked it because I get to like research anything that I want. And the biggest challenge was probably getting all the information. So let's run it. So here you can see there's some graphs. So for favorite pets, the original one, how many kids like dogs in my class is 8. How many kids like cats in my class is 4. How many kids like hamsters in my class is 3. How many kids like fish is 1. How many kids like snakes in my class is 3. So another bar graph of favorite pets, but it is not like a chart, but it's like a graph. And so I did how many people have the coronavirus install, and how many do not have the coronavirus install in 2020. And so you could see this is how much they do not have, which is, the number is a lot, but I don't know. So this one, and 752 do not have the coronavirus. But if you get rid of this, the pink one, it has 9,007 something of a number. And since I did a lot of code on it, I had to separate my project to do this one. And this was just like a graph to do like data. And yeah, so it says, and this one also I added some stuff, like I added unicorn, leprechauns, dragons, and bats and penguins. And also I have another one which is called Team Chooser, and it just chooses teams. So yeah. And thank you for watching.
So Chloe, can you tell us a little bit about this team chooser? Like, did we ever use it during camp, or how did this one come into play?
Well, I picked this project because like it would be helpful for us, like at our 1231 we would do Pictionary, and this would separate like teams for it. And yeah.
So can you run it real quick just so you can show us what it looks like?
So once you run it, it will say this app helps you pick teams. And this app was made by Chloe from the coding camp in summer 2020. This is ASCII art. And what do you want your team name to be? Let's say you want it to be, I'm just doing it very quick, so I'm just gonna do it 7 and 8. And so these are all the kids that we, and of course, our instructor that we have in our class. So team 7 is Paula, Nicholas, Chloe. Team 8 is Laylee, Pablo, and Lorelai.
Cool. So thank you very much, Chloe. So here's a virtual round of applause. Great job. So Paula, are you ready to start presenting?
Yes.
So make sure you can share your screen, and then whenever you're ready, okay?
Hi, my name is Paola, and my project is about basically robot cards. And if you run it, it asks you your name. And then it says, and then the computer basically says hi to you. And here are the choices of robots you can enter in. And you can even unscramble these letters to get a mystery robot. And then you can enter your favorite robot. It could enter your favorite robot. And then you get to choose one. That said, you can choose up here. When you type it in, it prints out the picture and its battery and intelligence in its name and the image. And you can choose multiple. If you unscramble the letters, it makes this. And then it prints out your mystery robot plus $1,000. And right here, it says to enter the name here to buy it. And then this is how much money you have left. And it prints out the card and its battery and intelligence and the name. And you can buy one more. It says to enter the name TV. And then it says you ran out of money and a sad face. And if you put a robot that does not exist in the system, it says robot, it gives you an error that says robot doesn't exist. And here's the code, all the code I used for this project.
Paula,
Right here is like to decorate. right here, this is the screen color. You can actually change it. It changes your screen to pink. And then right here is the print statements and the if statements, the if and else statements.
Paula, so what would you say was the hardest thing about your project, like when you were started writing it and as you were developing it?
The hardest thing in the project was, for me, it was like the images and everything, getting the images perfect, getting them all ready. So yeah, the hardest thing was the images.
And what would you say was probably the easiest thing? Maybe the one that you thought, okay, I can do this. Next time I start programming again, I'm gonna be able to do this, no problem.
The easiest thing was inputting probably like the name and printing out what your name is and saying hi to you. So the print statements and the input statements. For me, those are the easiest.
Awesome. Do you have any other projects that you'd like to share, or are you good?
I have one more to share.
Okay.
It's based off the other game I just presented. It's the robo test. If you run it, it also asks your name. And it asks you if you're excited for the test. You can either answer yes or no. And it asks you the questions. If you get them right, if you get them wrong, it basically prints out wrong. And if you get them right, it tells you you're correct. And if you skip, we could skip to the end. And it asks you to count how many questions you got wrong. And let's just put 3 in. And if you enter it, it says you failed and you should study more. And it asks you if you're gonna study. And for example, if you put, yes, it prints out good. And it also gives you the link to the other projects.
Awesome. So you link both projects together, right?
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. So another virtual round of applause for Paula. Yeah. And so that is all of our participants. Everyone shared their code. Everyone, I hope, had fun during this week where they had time to code, time to learn more about Python, not only about Python, but also about computers in general, artificial intelligence, a lot of different aspects of computing that we will be using in our day-to-day lives. And sometimes even we don't notice that we use it in our day-to-day lives.
And we have more camps during the summer. So if you want to have the other camp, that's awesome. Thanks for having me join us. And thanks for seeing the presentation today. Good job, guys. You did great. Awesome.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
guys.
Bye, Chloe. You're welcome.
Bye, Pablo.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay safe.